Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of late season offense matches. Zelgius and Guinivere returned to the field again this week after their highly successful reunion last late season, using the same skills and support setup. Savvy Fighters, Null Follow-Up, and Damage Reduction continue to be a fantastic addition to Zelgius' kit, and being able to keep his offensive stats penalty-free helped a lot during the Armor School bonus week. Guinivere, as usual, is an excellent ranged specialist to pair with him. Her ability to heal both herself and Zelgius helps a lot when sustaining through multiple combats, while her anti-mage weapon keeps her in a uniquely powerful spot when it comes to dealing with most of the significant defense team threats. Giving these two a second team slot also lets Guinivere use either Null Follow-Up or Null Sea Disrupt, allowing her to adapt to the defense at hand. They didn't quite sweep the week this time though, giving my Beastforce team a chance to shine as well. This team is mostly the same as last time I used them, thanks to a season-proof core of Edelgard, Ashe, and Valoria. Supporting Ashe with Valoria gives them both access to very consistent one-hit Gale forces, and combined with Edelgard, it makes the trio very hard to stop. Milla's bonus week also lets the team run a second Dancer and Duo Peony, bringing them to a potential 13 actions in a single turn. I also gave one match to Claude, who's always a menace when partnered with Katria and a pair of Dancers. His built-in Null Follow-Up and Fallen Star work extremely well with Triangle Attack, letting him punch through even the bulkiest opponents. Now that we've gone over the teams, let's get to the first match. This match is going to be a fun way to start off the week, and it makes me regret a little bit that I didn't put my own Morgan on my offense team for the week. It's really nice to see a maxed out Morgan like this. He's really solid, although I do think he'd be better off using Lull on a defense, and maybe an Impact instead of Fury, but it's just nitpicking. He's still really good, especially when he's being boosted by 4 different mythics to get his stat total to a very impressive level. The mythics are also doing a lot of work for this Leaf, who's a bit of a menace. Having the Brazen instead of a Deathblow or Solo does hold him back a little bit, but it also means that you don't have to worry so much about his push going offline. And of course a very mill-approved Eldgan. He might not dodge the plus defense mills in their bonus week, but he'll dodge just about everything else. It's a neat setup overall, and I think it's actually a little bit tricky to approach this with a Gale Force team, since they're spread out enough that it can be hard to actually reach everything or block in the Leaf at the end of it. And Hell is always a bit of a pain for Gale Force teams to handle, since it's hard to knock her out in one round of combat, especially when she has Guard Bearing equipped. I don't think I'm going to have too many problems with this though. As impressive as this Morgan is, he's still a red mage, and, well, Guinevere does a pretty good job of handling those. So, we should be able to get things started right away, just by having her move up here and break structure. And I'll just have Guinevere move up.
Ready.
And Dancer. Move her all the way forward to bait things out while Zelgius moves in to keep her safe.
Lord,
then Ashe can use the Orders buff to jump forward and rally Zelgius. Actually meant to do that before he moved, but thankfully Peony's formation buff is pretty useful. And from here we should just go down the chain after Eldgan dances. Note attacks into Zelgius, but he is not going to have any problems with her. He outspeeds her by quite a lot. And then Guinevere just gets to start healing him right back up. Brown without a lull is not really ever going to threaten her too much. And, well, or Yune. She desperately needs her remix. I am interested to see what she gets for it. It'll take quite a bit to make her a decent defense mythic. And then Leaf moves in, and does actually stop Guinevere from healing herself to full health, but she does get to top Zelgius off, and then Air can turn around and top her off at the start of the turn. And Hell and Morgan just can't reach us. Then from here it should be pretty easy to continue marching forward while we close things out. I don't have to worry about ending the match here since Courtly Candle will keep Eldigan alive through Zelgius' first counterattack. Which is important, since we're not going to be able to reach this pot in the corner this turn.
What's your plan?
So we can just move Zelgius up here.
Death's caress.
Let Air start moving up this way, and have her jump past Ash to pick up her first Aether pot. And we'll say go. Morgan does get to debuff both Zelgius and Guinevere here, but it's not that big a deal.
No draw, no escape.
Eldigan survives the first round, and Hel will survive one hit from Zelgius.
No draw, no escape.
But it's not enough to put him in any real danger, and even with the debuffs online, Morgan just can't quite punch through Guinevere. Then all we have to do is let Air float forward, pick up the Aether from
Very well.
and we'll move Guinevere down,
Truly?
dash forwards,
What's your plan?
and let Zelgius warp up here and close out the match.
One will live, one will die.
It was a fun start to the week. Let's see what we get next. This match is an interesting setup. It seems to be a bit of a cross between a Cav line with Reinhardt, Celia, Veronica, Lysithia, but they've also kind of walled off their Cavs and made it a lot easier to approach this since they can't actually use their movement range well at all. The Edelgard in the corner is there, but she's not using a safe skill, so isn't really doing much to help keep Reinhardt safe, and is also locked behind this wall in the front line. They also aren't using Dark Mythics, just a peony in the back here as their dancer, so it might just be a budget setup. It shouldn't really be anything that Gwen and Zelgius have problems with, and we should be able to start closing things out right away. We'll just rally Guinevere, move her forward,
I bestow my
and smite her
blessing.
forwards to start tanking up all of the ranged. We should actually be able to get all of them in one turn, since I think after these 4 attack, Edelgard should move over here and let Peony attack as well, unless she dances because she won't do damage,
Death's caress.
which would be fair. Okay, and we even found both of the
Good
real
morning.
traps, that's good.
I'll
Let
keep you alive.
Zelgius
It
And
will be
Milla
done.
start moving up this way. I think Veronica attacks first, thanks to her staff. It gives her a bit of a priority for attacking. But even with the debuffs, Gwen's not going to have any problems handling the rest of these mages. Nope. Celia goes next. Sadly for her, the double triangle attack doesn't stack. And, well, Guinevere knocks her out pretty easily. Lysithia moves in. Since she can do 1 point of damage, and then Reinhardt goes last and gets himself knocked out too. I probably should have just had Milla isolate Peony here, so that we'd actually knock the Peony out. But sadly I think because I didn't, yep, Edelgard's going to get danced, and that's okay, because she still can't actually reach Guinevere this turn. Sadly, because Peony is still alive and can actually attack these tiles and would prioritize that attack as long as Edelgard is attacking into Zelgius, it means that
Yes.
this should actually end up taking us one more turn while
Are
we
you certain?
maneuver around them to reach the Aether pots.
What's your
It's
plan?
not really that big a deal, we have plenty of
Good
time
morning.
left.
Your orders.
Lord Asker, guide us.
Edelgard should move in to intercept us, and Peony can't quite reach her this turn.
Like
Then
this.
we'll just smite her forward. She'll pick up
glimmer
this
of
pot.
life.
We'll
Very
have
well.
Gwyn pick up this one.
Truly?
Move Ash forward and let
Ready.
Peony move up here to dance Gwyn.
Are you
Then
certain?
can finish off Peony. And then we'll just let Zelgius keep everyone safe from Nailguard. It's a pretty straightforward match.
I'll keep you alive. One will live, one will die.
Let's see if we find something more interesting next time. This match will be a neat one. It's been quite a while since I've seen a fireball on a defense team. This one's got a pretty highly invested Est and also an Aversa. It's a bit of an old school setup overall. These two used to be very common on defense teams, but not so much anymore. And it is a little bit odd to see no goads or wards for flyers on any of these three. The Peony with Joint Drive in the back is, well, pretty expected. It does help enable Brandman and Note, but not having those lowers the overall threat level of this setup quite a bit. And while this trap that has Peony potentially dense Note from here and enable the rest of her team to start jumping forwards can be pretty threatening, it's also very easy to disable that with a Milla. The Quick Impulse Brandman's a neat touch too, because it does potentially let him get a Luna off in one round of combat. But overall, I don't really expect to have too many problems with this match. It should be a pretty straightforward one. I am going to take a turn here just to
Good morning.
test this trap in the front.
It will be done.
Oh, that's fake.
Lord Asker, guide
Once
us.
we've done that, we'll just
The
have
glamour of
Air
life.
get out of the way,
We must end this.
flip Noah back over here to continue isolating Peony for next turn, and wait.
Like
And from here we
this.
should be able to get things started.
I do not object.
We're not quite going to take out the entire team, or most of it in one turn, since as much as Zelgius is strong, taking a triangle attack from this Est would be
Very well.
troublesome. He'd probably get splattered.
Maybe
So we'll play it
this
safe
way.
and just make sure that he's only taking one hit from
I'll
this
keep
Est.
you alive.
We'll take a hit from the Sita first, but thanks to isolation,
Let's see how you handle this.
the only things that will attack us here are the Sita, the Yune, and of course the Peony. And the rest of the team should just trickle in behind them. That should... oh, Brandman repositioned Note out of the way, and that's fine.
What's your
And
plan?
we can pretty much just stay in place for this turn. We're already going to bait Est, Aversa, and Brandman out, and without two flyers left to charge up this triangle attack,
I'll keep
Est
you
isn't
alive.
too much of a threat for Zelgius.
I bestow my
I'll just
blessing.
move Noah over this way, and say go. The Sprite Shrine is also helping us out quite a bit. And yeah, Est can do quite a lot of visible
No
damage,
draw, no escape.
but Savvy Fighter does a good job of blunting that, and she's also the only melee he has to worry about this turn. And from there, Guinevere can just start patching him right back up. Bram doesn't really get much damage to stick here, and Aversa shouldn't do any damage to Guinevere at all. And thanks to Bramman's last turn and not having a dancer anymore, there's no way for Note to actually reach us here.
It
And
will
then
be
from here,
done.
we'll just let Zelgius close things out and give him a full set of buffs to work with.
Truly?
It is nice to see Zelgius doing so well against
One will live, one will die.
enemies who should be a little bit more threatening than this to him. This match is going to be a very spicy one. They've got a bit of a Shadows of Valentia themed team here with this Valentine's Fae and some very highly invested threats, including this Python, this maxed out Sonia, and of course this maxed out Ascended Berkut. I'm a little surprised by the Ascended asset in res instead of defense. It would help him beat melee checks and make this pre-charged bonfire that much scarier. But even with that, he's very, very impressive to see. We also have this bonus week Bremond and a Catria to enable triangle attacks for everybody except this Python. And a note in the front line, whose attack tactic actually only gives attack to Fae, Catria, and Python, but that's not necessarily terrible, since it does help Brem and Sonia avoid being panicked, and that's especially important for Sonia with this Blazing Wind. The impact and lull from this Python may also make him really annoying to take out in one round of combat, especially combined with just how much extra res he's giving to himself with these two skills. And this Dark Shrine means that it's very unlikely that Berkut gets isolated past the first turn, even in a Mila bonus week. It's a very neatly designed team, and it'll be fun to actually take it apart, assuming I've figured all of this out correctly. I'm actually going to get things started on this first turn. Isolating Berkut does make it a lot easier to handle this incoming barrage, since we should be able to bait Bremond and Python out without actually worrying about triangle attacks or follow-up after those two.
Lord,
So we're
ask
going
their
to
guidance.
just have Ash rally Guinevere, just to make Python a little bit easier to take
Very
down.
well.
And Guinevere can move over here. We'll move
Ready.
Peony behind her. We're not worried about the defense bonuses, since Bremond lulls her res and Python lulls her defense.
Like this.
And then we'll move Mila down,
I'll keep you
Zelgius
alive.
over, and wait and see how this plays out. I'm pretty sure Python attacks first here. Yep. But Guinevere should be able to handle him, even though he does do quite a lot of damage to her with that single hit. And she should also be able to survive Bremond after that, mostly because he doesn't have a triangle attack active. It does bring her pretty low, but we should be out of range of the rest of their team this turn. There's a chance that Note manages to get onto us, but Zelgius is keeping her safe, so even if that happens, we'll be okay. Nope. Everything just moves up. That first turn did go pretty well, but we still have to worry about this Catria, and since she's being guarded by Fae and flanked by Sonia and Berkut with their specials still online, things are still a little tricky. Thankfully,
well.
we should be able to navigate this just by letting Guinevere one-shot Note, which disables the specials of both Sonia and Berkut, and also gets rid of this attack tactic for next turn.
Good
Then
morning.
we'll dance Guinevere.
What's
Then
your
we'll
plan?
have Zelgius swap Peony out of any potential harm's way there,
Truly?
and have Ash rally Zelgius, which freezes all of these before
glimmer
they
of
can
life.
even think about using
Are
their
you
specials.
certain?
And then
We
we'll
must
finish by
end
moving
this.
Guinevere here, and saying go. From here we do bait their Sonia right away, which is good. It gets her off the table and patches Guinevere up a little bit more. And I think we should only end up knocking out Catria from here. Although there's a chance she moves towards Guinevere and lets Fae attack her first. Nope, nope. She's just going to get danced right into Zelgius, which is perfect.
No draw, no escape.
Down she goes. And now that things are down to just Berkut and Fae, we just want to make sure we secure these Aether pots before the end of the match. which makes it very helpful that we started things on the first turn.
We must
I'm going to make sure we get rid of Berkut first, just to avoid any dancing shenanigans, since Fae should be easy enough to avoid.
Lord, ask or guide us.
And we'll rally Zelgius, which ruses Berkut and makes him a little bit softer of a target.
Yes.
And then just let Air start breaking her way up here.
Your
We'll let
orders.
Zelgius swap Milla and complete his buff spectrum,
I
which
bestow
lets her
my
jump all the way
blessing.
over here. Continue to help opening things up, and we'll just
Way.
dance Zelgius into
What's
position
your plan?
to keep Guinevere safe. Berkut moves in, but thanks to Savvy Fighter's null follow-up,
Say your prayers.
Zelgius doesn't have any problems bringing him down. Well, if he actually needed the second swing to finish him off.
We must
And then we
end
just
this.
need to avoid Fae while
do
we
not
reach
object.
these ether pots,
Death's
which shouldn't be
caress.
too hard. One movement is pretty limiting, after all.
I'll keep you alive.
Ready. Very well.
We'll just get
It
everyone
will be
moving up
done.
and ready to get to that next pot. Okay,
Are you
and then we
certain?
can close things out by repositioning
I
Air and
bestow my
smiting her
blessing.
forwards.
I'll keep
We'll
you
move
alive.
Zelgius up and
Good
dance
morning.
him.
The glimmer
Let
of
Air
life.
pick up our second ether pot
What's
and
your
have
plan?
Zelgius close out the match. That was a really fun one to plan out. Let's see what we get next. This match is going to be a very interesting one, and is actually the first match in a while that forces me to not use Guinevere and Zelgius. It's very well set up, and this Python with the maxed out Leonie nearby are a very powerful 1-2 punch for dealing with any high-res tanks. And when combined with this Shanna, they can punch through just about anyone who's not extremely physically bulky. And even for the physical bulk, 2 fire sweeps and double poison strike can do a lot of work. And that's not to mention the 4 different AR-D attack speed 4 skills that they have on their team. Combined with the triangle attack from Katria and the double rally trap with double dense trap involved, it's very hard to actually avoid being triangle attacked by at least one of these 3 in a single turn. And, well, getting triangle attacked by any of them is not usually going to end too well for a tank. They've also got a lot of drive attack support going on here, with almost their entire team carrying some form or combination of joint drive attack and drive attack, which adds a lot of extra punch to whoever ends up attacking, and can also really help protect the team from Gale Force strategies just by simply avoiding any heavy blade checks being possible. It actually took me a much longer time than I would have liked to figure out a working solution to this, and I think I figured this out correctly, and we'll end up needing all of our actions to make this work. The one bright spot of this is that they don't actually snipe our safety fence with a catapult, which does give us 1 turn to clear out some structures and move into position. So we'll start by letting Ash do that,
Lord, ask or guide us.
and
Good
then
morning.
moving everybody over
That's
just
funny.
a little bit,
What? I bestow my blessing.
and saying go. Since we're all in range of our safety fence, or out of their attack range, they get locked out, and we can get things going. We'll start by flipping Ash forward onto this bolt trap, which is fake. I wasn't sure if this was going to be real or not, so I had to plan around it not doing any damage, which would enable
My
a
warmest
Wings of Mercy
greetings.
for Peony.
Maybe
We'll dance
this
Valoria
way.
with the OG Peony,
Like this.
smite Fatal Guard forward onto this other trap. Okay, that one's fake too. And then we'll
Yes.
have Edelgard start using Ash's Warp to move slowly forwards,
My
and
warmest
dance her with
greetings.
Duo Peony. And then we'll get things started.
That's funny.
Valoria is going to be able to one-shot Shanna, but probably won't be able to Gale Force here. There's a little bit too much attack stacking going on. Yep, so she misses that Gale Force. And that's okay, because
Really?
Ash should be able to now move in and Gale Force off of Peony. Or Leonie, rather. Yep. And from there, we should be able to start picking their team apart. Ash will start off just by knocking out this Catria, which also gives Edelgard a warp point to start moving in and wreaking havoc. Since this node is using a ruse instead of her default B skill, it's actually pretty easy for Edelgard to warp in and one-shot her. Then follow that up by knocking out Python. Then close out by knocking out their Duo Peony. And with all of their Duo units out of the way, our Duo Dance comes back online, and we can have Valoria warp in to box in Friandra and break her first Aether pot. Then we'll move Ash over a tile and have Edelgard break this second Aether pot, and let Valoria get her own Gale Force active at least once before the end of the match. It was a definitely tricky map. Let's see what we get next. This match will be a bit of a different style of defense than the last couple have been, and instead of anything too intricate, just relies on having 3 different Fallen Edelgards to try and overwhelm anyone trying to tank their way through this, or just deny any real player phase strategies, since usually you don't have to break through more than one of these at a time. They also have a little bit of a trap here between the Rescue Larajal and the Winter Bernadetta and the Azura, which can pull Bernadetta over to the right a space and threaten both of these tiles when you might not be expecting her to. I was actually thinking about tanking this, but I decided on a slightly different approach, which means that the Nullsea Disrupt isn't going to get too much work done here. But that's okay. I should just be able to get things started right away instead, and that'll make it a little bit easier to navigate the Edelgards later and pick up both pots. So we'll just have Air break this cake, and Ash up a tile and open up this snow fan.
Ready.
Dance her. Then have Guinevere work all the way up here and take down Larajal. With Larajal out of the way, there won't be any dances, since both Azura and Bernadetta should just attack into Guinevere, especially without any rallies.
Truly?
We'll just have Ash move over.
Your
Let
orders.
Zelgius warp in to protect Guinevere in case Note moves here and allows the 2 Edelgards to attack her this turn.
Like this.
And we'll
I
just have
bestow my
Note
blessing.
Zera moves in first, and well, it's not going to get very much done here. I'm a little surprised she actually attacked before Bernadetta. I thought Bernie might do some more, but I guess not. Even with the Lure instead of the Trace. And then from here we'll see if Note ends up moving into the right spot to let the Edelgards reach us. Oh, no, the Edelgards actually move first. And from here we just need to make sure that we leave one of these Edelgards alive for the last turn to pick up these pots. This one's going to be the easiest one to keep alive, since she won't have her Armored Stride online for next turn, and also doesn't have access to Note. So we'll just move Guinevere up a tile. Also move Ash forward once and test this crap, which is real, it's fine. We'll dance her with Ash,
Yes.
and have Airfloat move over this way
It
to
will be
Sweet
done.
Zelgius and give him a set of defense and res buffs.
Lord Asker,
Then
guide
have
us.
Ash move up and rally him.
Watch
And
your
on
fire.
the right. From here, Note is going to go first since, well, he's going to stop her in triangle advantage too.
Let's see how you handle this.
Quite a bit for actually letting her do some damage to Zelgius. But from there, things are just going to go downhill. Since, as usual,
One will live, one will die.
Zelgius getting to Black Luna Fatal Guard on the hit that isn't getting mitigated doesn't end well for her.
Let's see how you handle this.
And then her just gets to patch him up.
Are
Then
you
we
certain?
can just take advantage of some warp shenanigans
morning.
with Peony. Reach both of these pots
We
this turn,
must end this. I do not object.
Your
and then let
orders.
Zelgius close things out by knocking out the last Natal
I
Bird.
bestow my blessing.
This one gets to attack him directly, but that's still not going to be enough to save her.
Let's see how you handle this.
This match will be a neat one near the end of the week. It's been a while since I ran into a full save ball, and they have a very impressive Pirate Surtur on their defense team. I'd like to get mine up to this level at some point. He's very impressive. The Spiral Indignus looks a little bit odd at first, but he's also being backed up by one +10 Winter Erica with a Grand Scratcher, and even recovery, and another Winter Erica, also with Grand Scratcher, which drops this Ignis charge down to 1, and that makes it very easy, combined with Steady Breath, for him to guarantee an Ignis on every counterattack. They've also gotten odd recovery on their team with this Winter Sephirin, and together these recoveries make it a lot harder to dislodge this save ball with an isolation. Being able to give 40 free hit points to Surtur and Friorum every turn and clear off all of the debuffs of both of them, and also the Note and Brahmand, mean that you can't actually stop this Brahmand from rallying whoever he wants to rally, since Sephron's a 7th slot unit and doesn't ever do anything anyway, unless something dies. It's a tricky setup to crack, actually, since, again, you can't actually just isolate anything here. But I think that Claude should be able to punch through this. It is kind of a good demonstration of why it's always useful to keep multiple team options available to you through a week. I don't think Gwyn and Zelgius would actually be able to get through this, just because of how the save ball is structured. I'm going to start things off just by having Catria test this trap. That's the real one. Excellent. Which makes it a lot easier for us to continue breaking our way forward and set up for the following turn.
Ready.
It shouldn't be
Like
too hard to
this.
start cracking things open
Choose
from
your
there.
path.
And we might actually just have
Let's
Claude
go.
knock out Fjorm on this very first turn. There's not really any follow-up here, since Note doesn't have her weapon equipped. Even the Ericas can't actually reach us this turn, so it's easy enough for us to do this and just say go. And, well, the safe defense locks them out, so from here,
Like this.
we should actually be able to start picking this apart pretty easily.
Let's go.
Claude can knock out Sephirin and take out one of their recoveries, along with some extra drive support.
Wait
Then
for me.
Catria can break this pot for us and move over this way.
Good morning.
We'll dense Claude here. We do need to get Catria out of the way, since we didn't want her to be tanking these Ericas.
Sure thing.
But we should be able to get her out of there by densing her, repositioning her with Ash.
Hold a grudge if you must.
And while Surtur is pretty bulky, he does go down eventually.
Choose your path.
And while we won't actually have quads online for Claude next turn, he shouldn't need them, since, well, this Erica's not going to be a problem for him, and neither Note or Brahmand have weapons. So, we'll just take down the second Erica, or first Erica, I guess, and use Fallen Star to tank the second one.
Lord
And Ash can just open this up, and we'll say go again. Erica goes after Claude, but she can only do 1 damage, so It's not really enough to cause us any problems.
Let's go.
And from here, we can just have Claude pick them off one by one to close out the match.
Maybe this way.
Sure thing.
I see.
This defense, honestly, even though I got to make it pretty easy, would have been really tricky if I didn't have Claude or a similarly offense-focused team on my roster this week. It's good to run into those just as a reminder. Let's see what we get next. This map will be a fun way to close out the week with an out-of-season pre-charged legendary Sigurd, enabling a pretty lethal barrage of Leaf and Selena, and this brave Marianne, who's actually pretty close to maxed out even if she's missing a few merges still. I think they're just waiting for the Hero Fest and Golden Week for it. Combined with Note, the extra range from Holy Knight Aura lets these three threaten just about the entire map, and with two dancers on the field, it's very hard to actually isolate this and bait it properly. And Marianne herself, even without null follow-up, is pretty hard to handle in the enemy phase thanks to her Phantasm Tome giving her 70% damage reduction on the first swing, and combined with the impact, it's pretty hard to actually knock her out without outspeeding her through her lull and having null follow-up yourself. I am going to take a turn here just to set things up and get ready to start the fight. Mostly to test this bolt trap in the front.
It will be done.
We'll just start by smiting her forward onto it. And that was the real one. Good.
What's your plan?
And from here, we'll just pull back into our safe defense range and
Yes.
let her warp down here so she's not getting gravitied next turn.
Are you certain?
And we'll just move Guinevere over,
Good morning.
dance her,
We must
and get
end
ready
this.
to move her into position right here. Safe defense locks them out.
Your
And then from
orders.
here, we'll just move into position. Moving
I do not
Zelgius
object.
forward here and Ash rallying him behind means that we can move
Very
Guinevere
well.
over one tile and
Like
smite her
this.
into position, which should keep this entire corner safe.
Ready.
And then we'll just dance Ash to give Guinevere a little bit more attack and speed, and say go. I'm not entirely sure how the attack order is going to go here. I think Sigurd, moves in first, but while he can do some damage with this Holy Knight Aura, it's not enough to
Say your
really
prayers.
threaten Zelgius, and he's never going to survive Zelgius anyway. Oh, and there comes the dance. That's fine. With no follow-up involved, Guinevere doesn't really have any issues handling Marianne. And while it is unfortunate that the Triandra is going to end up costing Guinevere some hit points through the next couple of fights, she shouldn't have any problems surviving this. Down goes Leaf, and well, we can't heal from that, but that's alright. Peony can't do anything, really, since we're just going to start healing, and well, I'm going to take a guess and say that Selena's not doing any damage at all, and just gives Guinevere 7 more hit points to work with. Looks like. Which means she comes out of this pretty healthy, and also having topped off Zelgius.
Death's
And from here we can
caress.
just work air up towards this ether pod on the
Maybe
right side.
this way. The glimmer of life.
I don't need to worry too much about Triandra reaching Peony here, since she's going to lose the movement buff she's getting
Are
from
you
Sigurd
certain?
this turn. So we'll just let Guinevere open this up and bait her instead,
Lord Asker, guide us.
and then sit back and wait.
I bestow my blessing.
Guinevere doesn't have any problems swatting Triandra, And nope, can't quite catch us.
Death's
Then we'll just
caress.
keep moving forward and give Guinevere a
Very
chance
well.
to tank this note.
Like
We'll
this.
make sure she has all of her defenses online for it at least.
Are you certain?
Good morning.
And dance her over this way,
We must
and have her
end
pick
this.
up her first Aether pot.
Moon
Ash will
asked
just
for
jump up
guidance.
here and apply a guard to note. Not that
I'll
it
keep
should
you
really be
alive.
necessary, but Zelgius will keep Ash safe from her and force her to attack Guinevere. She does a lot of damage, because Guinevere's not built to tank notes, but she also can't really punch through Gwyn, so Gwyn's going to be more than fine there.
Yes.
Then we'll just have air break the second pot,
Are
and
you
then
certain?
we'll let Zelgius close out the match.
Maybe this way.
One will live, one will die.
Down she goes. That's a nice one to close out the week with. This was another fun week, and it's actually been a little while since I hit rank 1 again, so it's good to do that. I'm a little sad it wasn't a week that I got to let Zelgius and Guinevere sweep all 8 matches, but we did run into some pretty spicy stuff along the way. It is good to see the Beastforce team doing as well as it is still, and I haven't gotten to let Claude stretch his legs in a while, so it's good to let him off the bench again. I do have a Discord channel, there's a link in the description if you'd like to hang out and chat, and there's also a Patreon link in there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.